When the last administration finished, I figured I would retire because I had failed retirement the first time. But a few weeks after the election, and seeing the direction of the country, I said, I can't retire. I won't enjoy myself playing golf and cruising around the world. So myself and several outstanding people from HUD got together, created the American Cornerstone Institute, which emphasizes the Cornerstone Principles that made us into a great country. That would be our faith, liberty, community, and life. And we also have a Little Patriots program which focuses on the children. We call it the Inoculation to Indoctrination, trying to help them out. And we have the Executive Branch for America to give people an understanding of how the government actually works and how they can get involved. And we firmly believe that America didn't reach the pinnacle of the world by accident. It was because of these values and principles, and that's why we really need to emphasize them once again, particularly as our country seems to be spiraling downward. We need to reinvigorate our population. And it's very encouraging to see 14,000 young people here who are interested in the future of our country. Who are not necessarily buying into all the propaganda that's being spewed out there, and recognizing that if we're going to keep this great country, we have to fight for it. You can't just sit around and look at your shoes and hope nobody calls you a nasty name or tries to cancel you. You have to be very active in the fight, and you have to know what you believe in. And a lot of what we do, particularly with our young people's program, the Little Patriots program, is we try to make sure that people understand our history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But an honest assessment shows you that there's a heck of a lot more good than there is bad and ugly. And we've allowed people to just take the bad and ugly, like critical race theory and 1619, and build everything around that. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense when we have so incredibly many things that have given people an enormous life and created an enormous country. And you have people trying to denigrate our country and saying how bad it is and how it's systemically racist and unfair to people. Well, if it were all that bad, why were all these people trying to get in here? And when they got here, wouldn't they call all their friends and relatives and say, don't come here, it's a horrible place? That's not what we're saying. So obviously, those are just bold-faced lies, and we need to fight for our country.
How do people combat the erasing of history or the reinventing of the truth, turning a falsehood into truth?
Well, I think we have to be equipped with the knowledge of what the truth is, and we have to be willing to talk about it. And we can't be afraid, and that's a big problem. When I was running for president, and I traveled to all 50 states, smallest little hamlets, biggest cities. One of the things that encouraged me the most was that most Americans have common sense. One of the things that discouraged me the most is that a lot of Americans don't have courage. And, they don't want to be canceled. And they don't want people to say bad things about them, so they just keep their mouths shut. It's time to open your mouth. That's how we fight the narrative, all the false narratives that have been out there, because if they go unopposed, people tend to believe them.
Pivoting to former President Trump, assuming that he becomes the nominee, what does he need in a running mate?
Well, obviously somebody who understands where he's coming from, and somebody who's courageous. They don't necessarily have to be as loud as he is, but they need to have courage, and they need to love America and understand, when you get on an airplane and they always announce, in case of an emergency, oxygen mask will come down, put yours on first and then help your neighbor. We can't help anybody if we don't take care of ourselves first.
If Trump becomes the nominee, do you think he will win Michigan next year?
I think he will win Michigan and a lot more. Right now he's leading in all the swing states. This is a very encouraging thing because it shows you that the American people are not stupid. They recognize what's going on, and they realize that if the left and the enemies of Trump are able to use the justice system to neutralize him, this will not be the same country anymore. It will never go back to being liberty and justice for all.
And this will be the final question. Do you believe that the black community is turning against the Democrats in the wake of everything that's been going on?
I think there's a significant number of people in the black community who are thinking for themselves, who are not just allowing themselves to be used. You know, particularly black males seem to be migrating toward Trump because they've actually looked at what he did when he was in the last time, and it was very positive. He believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. So he doesn't necessarily pick this group to be the favorite over this group, but he says, let's do stuff that works for everybody. And I think fair-minded people appreciate that.